I wanted to wear this traditional Indian kurta today. It has a history. I was in an alleyway in Varanasi, India, and a seamstress was running down with a bolt of raw silk fabric going, you need this, and I couldn't escape. So, and I thought, when will I ever wear it? And then I had the blessed opportunity to be able to go to Boone, North Carolina, to the retreat center that is the functioning place in America for the art of living. The Art of Living is the world's largest humanitarian organization, comprised solely of volunteers. And the woman that you were about to experience this morning helps facilitate the Art of Living in Atlanta. And the fact that she is here and the organization is so productive here is just quite enriching and amazing. I've known this person for all of the years that I've been in Atlanta myself and have attended interfaith ministerial councils, and there was something about her that stood out amongst everyone else. There was this unwavering light, and every time I would be in that room, you couldn't help but continue to just stare, not just at her beauty, but her essence and her illumination that is inside. And the fact that she is here today speaks volumes. And she personally navigated me through thousands of people in order to be able to have a personal one-on-one with Sri Sri Ravi Shankar at that place in North Carolina. And I was wearing this, and he blessed me in this. So I have not washed it. And I will not wash it. And so as I continue to wear it over the years and you see me, you might want to hug me from a distance. That being said, there's nothing that distances the heart of this amazing woman. Please welcome Mona Shai Joshi.
So 50 years ago, my mother married my father and became part of a large multi-generational family in Jaipur, India. Now, when she got married, the other women in the family recognized in this petite 18-year-old a powerful spirit of abundance. And it was true. If you liked something, she gifted it to you. If she made something and I've seen this, she makes like a small pot of food and she could feed 30 people that drop in unexpectedly from it. So at large family gatherings, and when I say large family, the Shahs alone would comprise about 100 people, and then we would invite friends. So large family gatherings. So at large family gatherings, they would give her the first bite of food because they believed that if someone with a generous heart ate first, it would create plenitude in the supply chain for others. So one day at such a large family gathering, the curries were simmering on the stove, the dough was kneaded, ready to be transformed into hot puris, delicate puffs of bread, they're used to scoop up vegetables. The sweets had been bought. It was imarti, this delicate pastry that's shaped like a flower and dipped in rose and cardamom syrup. So those of you that are going to India with Reverend David next year, make sure you have that in Jaipur. Everything was ready. Now we all know that the first rule of planning a dinner party is to make sure afterwards. Gotta look good for the camera. So we all know that the first rule of having a dinner party is to make more than enough food. And these women are experts at it. So imagine their consternation. Imagine their irritation to this day, when they were recalling this story, at having to re-knead fresh dough. Not once, not twice, not even 3 times, but an additional 7 times midway through the meal. And that sweet that they had got, the imarti, they kept having to send someone out to get more. What was causing the shortage? So at some point, my grandmother said, "Stop." And everyone stopped their cooking. And she said, "Who ate the first bite of food today?" And they traced the first meal served to a young teenager who was part of a family of 6 other siblings, sisters. And clearly in that household, the parents must have been thinking about, how am I going to educate these girls, one day get them married? And that feeling of lack that she had inside of her pervaded into the food. So my grandmother promptly sat my mother down. She gave her 1 puri and 1 imarti. And sure enough, all that extra cooking and running to that sweet shop completely stopped. Now my mother is definitely the fairy godmother of abundance. To this day, when I go home to Maryland, whatever I need, if I mention I need a waffle iron or I'm planning to get a new comforter, she'll say, "Mona, go in the garage, we've got 2 new ones." I mean, she doesn't even have to say bibbidi bobbidi boo. She just manifests. And I began looking at her one day. You know, it's just so a part of who she is. If I show her something that I like online, I say, "Mom, I'm thinking of getting this." "Mona, get 2. You hardly like anything." That's just how she carries herself. So I began thinking, how can the rest of us invoke that spirit of abundance within ourselves? Now, most people equate abundance with finances. But there's no equivalence, really. You know, there was a Boston College study of multi-millionaires. Now, these are folks with an average of $78 million in assets. Would you consider them comfortable? Did they consider themselves comfortable? No. They said, you know, if we had about 25% more, then we can relax. So this is such a clear indication to us that abundance is not what you've got sitting in that bank account. It's what you've got sitting inside here and in here. So how can we create abundance in our life? How can we move with that fullness that has been bestowed inside of us? So I would say the first principle is to feel grateful. Feeling grateful. So in October, millions of Hindus, Jains, Sikhs will be celebrating the festival of Diwali. And a common custom in Diwali is to gather all your gold and silver or whatever you consider your treasures, maybe your plastic beads. You gather it all together in one place and you look at it. And what happens is you start feeling fullness of all that you have. Because on a daily basis, let's face it, we're always thinking of, oh, I need this and I want that and this needs to be fixed and this is not right. But when you have actually seen what you have, then it fills you with fullness, with gratefulness, with the feeling of abundance. So His Holiness, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, actually shared an exercise one day, and I thought that would be a wonderful exercise to bring about abundance in us. Are you willing to do it? Yes. So when you go home today, do you notice that we collect beautiful things in our house? Do you do that? Yeah. And then who enjoys it? Our friends that visit the house. Because we stop seeing it. So when we go home today, just spend a few minutes, 5 minutes, looking at each artifact that you've collected before moving on to the next one, and then the next one. And what do you think will happen inside of us as we're looking at each thing that we've lovingly put together in our house? we become grateful. Such a feeling of fullness arises within. So feeling grateful. Then the second way to create abundance is to give generously. Thank you for helping me out with that. The Arab Bedouins traditionally were a nomadic people who relied on each other's generosity for survival in the harsh desert conditions. Anyone can be generous. In fact, they would insist that if you like something, they would insist that you take it home. Sri Sri says that both a princess and a pauper can be generous, because generosity is a quality of the spirit. And when we're generous, we're filled with an abundance of love and compassion. Your name doesn't have to be Mark Zuckerberg, Oprah Winfrey, Bill Gates to feel generous. In fact, a study found that it was middle-class Americans, lower middle-class Americans, that gave a higher percentage of their discretionary income to charity. So folks that were making $100,000 or more gave 4.2%. And people that were making $50,000 to $75,000 gave 7.6%. And we know what happens every time we do something, every time we donate, whether it's at the grocery store and they're asking you to donate to the hospital, or you pay for someone at the toll booth, the car behind you, it makes you feel happier, doesn't it? Did you guys hear about what happened in McDonald's at Father's Day this year? So in Indiana, this woman was going through the drive-thru like she always does with her family. She turned around and she saw a van with a father and his 4 kids. So she said, I'm going to pay for that guy. Just tell him Happy Father's Day. So when he drove up and he found that this had happened, he paid for the next car. And this continued from 8:30 in the evening all the way to midnight when McDonald's closed. 167 cars paid it forward. Actually, there was one car that didn't think to do that. So what the employees at McDonald's did was they gathered their own money together, pulled together $27 so that chain would be unbroken. So this week, it's so easy. I suspect most of you probably don't dine at McDonald's. But maybe you go to Starbucks. So just take care of the car behind you. What's the big deal? Or donate a little something to some charity, like the Kaleidoscope Foundation, or whatever comes up in front of you. It just fills you with that feeling. I had a great aunt, actually. So we were shopping, and suddenly she said, oh, it's Thursday. She goes up to a beggar, and she takes him to a restaurant, sits him down, and pays for his meal. And her children to this day, because we were talking about her on my last visit to India, they didn't know that she had that habit of doing that every Thursday. What a beautiful habit to adopt on the day of giving thanks. So, the third principle. The third principle is to be inclusive. The Ga people of Ghana celebrate their harvest with the Homovo festival. And what's unique about this festival is that they invite everyone to participate. The British, the Nigerians, the Ghanaians, whoever's around gets included in that celebration. Because the Ga people believe that this inclusivity begets further abundance. Let's face it, it's challenging. It's hard to erect walls to keep people out, isn't it? And it's probably even harder to get another country to pay for those walls. When we look look into someone's eyes and see the humanity in that person, something inside of us explodes in love. We start realizing that this world is one family. In Sanskrit, we call that Vasudeva Kutumbakam, one world family. Why not walk right now on this planet like everyone you meet is your brother and sister? If there is no chance you can feel lonely in this world. And we realize that what unites us is far greater than what divides us or differentiates us. Isn't it? So, ready for this week, another exercise? I need a little more enthusiasm. Are you ready? Okay. Take someone out to lunch who comes from a different part of the world than you do. There's so much to learn from each other. Find out their place of origin, how they think, where they come from, their life story. It's so rich. And then you've just made another soul connection. Then, the fourth way of creating abundance, as I was thinking, was lend a helping hand. Now, the Danish are consistently ranked as the happiest people on earth. They're not smoking something. It has to do it has to do with what they're doing in their life. Not surprisingly, the Danes also they have the highest rate of volunteerism in Europe. So we've been talking about happiness and abundance and all of that. I'm just going to give you a quick exercise for depression. It's only fair to balance things, right? Just sit and think, what about me? What about me? What about me? What about me? In 5 minutes, you will be completely depressed. And the moment you think about somebody else, you pull yourself out. It's so easy to do something for someone else, isn't it? Like whether it's, I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I still remember the time that our neighbor shoveled our driveway. Like it was so beautiful that my dad didn't have to go out and do it himself. Just simple acts of kindness. So this week, raise your hand if you're willing to do this with me. I love that you're willing to raise your hand ahead of time. The enthusiasm of this crowd. Let's all vow to do one random act of kindness a day. So simple. Can we all do this? How many people are in this room? So we're lighting up 1,000 other people's faces and hearts with kindness as we do this. And then the fifth way of creating abundance. And this is probably the thing that has had the most profound impact on my life. Meditation. You know, meditation is being with what is. And being with what is, and not trying to fix something at that moment, not trying to change things, just being with what is, being with yourself, creates a feeling of contentment, which is the basis for abundance. A Harvard study found that in as little as 7 weeks of meditation, the gray matter in your brain increased. Especially those areas, including those areas associated with perception, the way you see things, compassion, positivity, all of those things changed. In fact, death is also correlated with the shrinking gray matter in your brain. So it's so simple. Now, how many of you tried to meditate before in your life? I know this is part of what we do here also. And what happens? Suddenly you remember the laundry list, the email that you didn't send, the phone call that you need to make, and what you're going to make for dinner or whatever. Everything starts buzzing inside. So there are 3 principles of meditation that we can adopt from the Art of Living right now. So when you sit to meditate, just first, let's begin with these 3. You know what? Why don't we just meditate together? Shall we do that? Sure. All right. So let's sit with our feet flat on the floor, our spine nice and tall, our hands on your knees or lap, palms facing the ceiling. Let's take a long breath in, and we're going to breathe out through the mouth, making the sound ha. Let's take another breath in. Ha. And relax. At this time, you're not interested in being anything. You don't want anything. And you're doing nothing. So in your mind, you can just say to yourself, just once, I am nothing, I want nothing, and I do nothing at this moment. Let's take another long breath in and breathe out. Let's become aware of all the sounds in the environment. Let us accept all the sounds in the environment, whatever they may be. Now we're in harmony with the environment. Let's take a deep breath in and breathing out through the nose, relax. Once more, breathe in. And as you slowly exhale, relax all the muscles in the body. This body is a beautiful gift to you, given with so much love, by nature, by the divine. Let us love and honor this body that we've been given. Let's become aware of our feet, our knees, thighs, and hips, abdomen, stomach, chest, and shoulders. throat, and face. Let's become aware of the whole body. Let's take a deep breath in and slowly breathe out. Let's become aware of our thoughts, whether good thoughts or bad thoughts, however they may be, just let them be. No need to resist any thoughts. Allow them to come. Now we're in harmony with our thoughts. Let's take a deep breath in and let go. Let us become aware of our emotions, pleasant or unpleasant. Just let them be. You are peace. You are love. Let's become aware of our emotions. Our thoughts. The physical body. And the sounds in the environment. Let's take a deep breath in and let go. With a smile, let's breathe in. hold a smile. It can be fake, it doesn't matter. And let the smile become wider as you breathe out. And let's slowly and gradually, let's gently open our eyes. Is peaceful? Good. Abundance is in nature. A woman is complete. She's whole. And then she has a baby. And she creates another complete and whole being. Nothing is taken away from her. Wholeness begets wholeness. Abundance begets greater abundance. And I think for me, it really comes down to just knowing that I'm being taken care of. And that I will always be taken care of. Just look at creation. Fall will turn into winter. And in fall, what will happen? All the leaves will fall down. The branches will shed their leaves. So that when winter comes, the sunlight can hit the earth. And then next spring, the leaves will come back. Before the hot rays of the summer sun set in, shade has already been provided. We're always being taken care of. If you just look back in your life, the hardest times that you've had, the most difficult times, have you not moved through them? Don't you think that's going to continue to happen in the future? Then we can drop that fear and that hesitation in life. And we can move with this faith, with this trust, that I will always be taken care of. That I will always have what I need. And that I'm loved so much by this universe. And then you walk with abundance. You move with abundance. You shop with abundance. You smile from the inside out. And your face just radiates the love that's there. Thank you. Namaste.
Hi, I'm David Alt, and I simply want to say thanks. Thanks for taking the time to watch our broadcast here at Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. We have a vision, and that vision is to reawaken all to their spiritual magnificence. And one of the ways that we are able to do that is through this very medium of broadcasting. So if you got anything out of this, if you felt in any way inspired, or if something spoke to you directly, then I extend an invitation to you to become a part of our family by donating. And there are many ways in order for you to be able to do that. One is to simply go to our website at slca.com, and there you will find all different kinds of prompts that will help you support what it is that we are doing here in Atlanta. One way is to become a pledger. That means that you decide on a monthly basis that you are going to help us with this vision. Another way is to donate through our management system called Fellowship One, another through PayPal, and another even easier way is on your cell phone. You can do what's called text to tithe, and that number is 404-796-7030. Again, thank you so much for your support, and I invite you to come back weekly to see what it is that we're up to. Blessings.